Hello, hi, how are we doing, guys? How are we doing?
I'm alright, how are you?
Are you just not going to mention it?
I
forgot you were wearing it for a moment.
You think, just mention it straight up, just mention it. Oh, I don't know, just thought I'd mention, in case you hadn't noticed. Thought it worth mentioning. That I'm wearing a mask. Is that what you want? Is that the sort of thing you're after?
Yeah, well,
just a mention.
They might have been a little. Well, it'll be on their minds, I imagine. First of all, why did you already have that?
Well, if I told you that in 2010 I went to a music festival,
yeah,
well, that should answer any questions that you have. Really, that
you bought it at a music festival.
I mean, people make choices at music festivals, right? You don't. That's...
Okay. Have you worn it much since then?
No. Not had much use to it, for it to be honest.
How much did you spend on it?
Can't remember.
More than you should have?
I mean, not so much money that I sort of go, oh, I wish I had that money back now. It wouldn't make a significant difference to my life.
But probably more than you should have spent on that.
I mean, I can't remember.
Yeah, so we were sort of talking about masks the other day, and you bought a plague mask and things, and I was talking about adapting some of the Venetian masks I have to be a little bit more COVID friendly. That is absolutely useless for all current purposes. In fact, it covers the very bits that you need it not to, and doesn't cover the bits that you need it to.
Well, I now own 3 masks, but previously this was the only mask that I owned, and while it would be brilliant for concealing my identity if I was to enter into sort of lucha libre Mexican style wrestling.
Yeah.
It is not so good for COVID. Or bank robberies, I suppose. It is not so good for COVID-19.
No. You say 3 masks. You've got that one, the Plague Doctor one. What's the third one?
The face masks. We each have a face mask, don't we, that your friend made for going to the shop and that.
Oh, yes, sorry, yes, the COVID mask, yes.
Yeah.
Right, sorry, I was thinking more like costumey, and I was a bit confused. Right, so, yeah.
I like it, what do you reckon?
I find it a little challenging.
It's good to be challenged.
If it makes you happy, perhaps it's all good.
Well, I might take it off in a bit, but I was gonna wear it initially on. We were gonna do an episode of this where we were talking a bit more about masks because the government information had changed about masks.
Indeed.
And it was an excuse for me basically to put on the only mask that I owned at the time for a bit of a giggle and kind of freshen up the visual look of the vlog by having me look like this, and it was supposed to add a bit of levity and silliness to proceedings.
Yeah. And
then, unfortunately, one of our cats came in from the garden, having broken her leg, and the time for levity had passed that evening.
So was it the night that you were in the plague mask? Was the night that Poppet broke her leg?
No, it was before I'd ordered the plague. It was when I was getting...
I can't remember the timeline, see?
Oh, I think it was... No, it wasn't the plague. I was going to wear this mask.
Well, before you'd bought the plague mask.
Yeah.
Sorry.
For a bit of a laugh. But then... everything went a bit south, didn't it? And that turned our lives upside down for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I haven't worn it, but I thought, wow, it's, things are getting back to normal. We still have a little patient upstairs, a little furry.
Yeah. She's doing a lot better though.
Increasingly restless, being kept in the one room. But
yeah, she's trying to break out quite a lot. But she seems to have got into the swing of life, getting around on the 3 legs. She does now at least use the broken leg. She doesn't put weight on it, but when she stands up, she sort of puts it down enough to balance herself, which I think is ideal because previously she was just kicking her leg backwards and falling over. So she seems to be able to get about, and she seems in quite good spirits. So we just have to make sure we spend plenty of time in there with her. But she has got a tendency of when we're in there, she just goes to sleep. But if we then leave and then go back in there, she's elated to see us. So they sort of feel guilty for not... So we're trying to spend a fair amount of time in there. So if it's time that one of us would be spent sort of sat, I don't know, looking at our phones or on the Switch or something, we'll try and do that up in there. So she has company. And she sort of came in for a little bit of a cutch on me this afternoon. And yeah, she's doing good. Also, she's... pulled some quite impressive moves lately. Obviously, she's in one of those cones so that she can't bite at the dressing on her leg. And I think she's pretty fed up of the cone, to be fair. But we went in there the one evening to sort of check on her. I think it was after we'd recorded you. I think it might have been the first night that we recorded down here, actually. So we went straight back in there to find the cone not on her head, but still intact. They sort of pop, they're adjustable and you pop them together. But she somehow managed to get the cone off her head without undoing it. But thankfully she hadn't done any damage to the bandage. It all still looked fine. So what that has let us do is now if we're in there and she's going to be supervised, is we take the cone off, which she's much happier because then she can groom, and I think that makes her feel a lot better. But also she can get to her food a bit easier, and it's all just a little bit more sensible. We can't leave her unattended without the cone in case she starts picking at the dressing, but I don't think she's too bothered.
She's showing a surprising lack of interest in the dressing that's on her back leg, and she's been quite she
sort of, you've got to keep an eye on her, because if she is grooming and she sort of starts doing like her tummy and then the top of her legs, she sometimes does sort of keep carrying on, and you've got to just kind of go, nope, not that bit. But she doesn't seem too bothered about trying to get it off. But yes, I wouldn't leave her unattended without the cone.
Quite good at having the cone put back on again. Like, she doesn't struggle, does she? Or
no,
fight
which is remarkable because she's a feisty little thing. I thought she'd put up more of a fight than that, but she seems quite resigned to it.
To be quite sulky with us immediately afterwards.
Yeah, puts the cone against the wall and just sort of turns it back to us. But it doesn't last long, and then she's nice again, so I don't think she's holding it against us too badly.
There's another reason, though, why I've got this mask on.
Yeah.
I thought it would be appropriate to be a man covering his hideous features that he was born with a mask.
You don't have hideous features. I know where you're going with that, but that's a terrible thing to say.
Well, we'll let the people at home judge for themselves. They can make up their own minds. The people at home, we're all at home. I'm at home.
Everybody is the people at home. Yes. But yes, I do see where you're going with that. Yes, yesterday, I meant to talk about it in last night's vlog, and we ran out of time, which was a bit bad, actually, because it was only available for 48 hours and is no longer available, so I hope you don't want to watch it. But yesterday...
If, by the way, you watched yesterday's vlog and you're thinking you ran out of time to talk about something important, I heard some of the waffle you had in... what on earth?
We talked for quite a while about being ants.
Fair.
And I regret nothing. But yes, we watched, so a couple of weeks back, I think we mentioned that we'd watched Phantom of the Opera, which Chris hadn't seen before, and we were watching that up on my little iPad up in the room with Poppet, which wasn't really showing it off to its best. But yesterday we got to watch on our big telly in the living room the sequel to Phantom of the Opera, Love Never Dies. So that is that. The stream of that has now finished. It was only up for 48 hours, so that is gone, I'm afraid. So I hope you didn't want to watch it. You can still go onto YouTube and I think buy or rent it if anybody is desperate to see it. I love it. I will fully acknowledge the story is ridiculous, but I think the music is really beautiful. I really, really like Love Never Dies. I think it's a bit of a Marmite one. People seem to really like it or really hate it. It was not very well reviewed. I did the press night for it, but I absolutely loved it. I feel like it does quite a cool thing, which is maybe a little lacking in Phantom of the Opera, is it's because it's sort of it's set in the future. I won't say too much about it, but it's set in the future and in America, in Coney Island. So the Phantom has fled across the pond, and because it's in Coney Island, they've sort of taken advantage of the fairground and kind of macabre carnival vibe, which I think works with the quite creepy vibe of the Phantom anyway, and is slightly more enjoyable to listen to than faux opera, to me anyway. Yes,
I quite agree.
And actually it was the Australian production from Melbourne, and it was quite different. The way it was actually produced was quite different to the version that I saw in the West End, and it was beautiful, really, really quite impressive. Particularly like the sort of the opening scenes with the fairground carnival stuff. I thought was pretty impressive.
Really interesting stuff going on visually. I enjoyed it. I think more than I thought I was going to.
That's good.
It slightly makes me wish I could then go back and watch Phantom of the Opera now.
We could watch the film.
We could, I suppose. Yeah.
He's regretting saying that.
All right, no, I will. And just so you know that I'm not just saying that, we'll put a timeline on it.
Okay.
Right, within the next decade, I will watch the Phantom of the Opera movie.
Do you think we'll still be doing daily lockdown vlogs for the rest of this decade?
Let's hope so.
It's feeling a bit like that, isn't it? Oh, I haven't actually said. So sorry, today is April 27th, and it is day... Is it April 27th?
Oh, that's a long post.
April 26th today, sorry.
Very long pre-credit
sequence
we did
today. It's April 26th today, and it's day 37 of lockdown, I think. So yeah, I realise we normally say that at the start, but I should say it at some point.
I don't think I really gave Phantom of the Opera much of a chance because we were watching it on an iPad in a bedroom, sat on the floor. I couldn't get comfortable.
No,
I think we watched it
maybe give the film a go. I enjoyed the film. Gerard Butler plays the Phantom. What's not to like?
Yeah, but I enjoyed the one yesterday, and we sat and watched it on the telly on our sofa with the lights dimmed, and it was nice. And even though that is now past, I believe there are other Andrew Lloyd Webber musicals that are going to be online.
I'm not sure quite on the dates, but if you go to the show, if you go to it's YouTube channel. And it's the shows must go on. If you type that in, it'll bring up whatever, and they're also showing like clips and previews and snippets of all of the ones that they're planning on showing. So you can. All right, we are doing this a little bit late today. I didn't realise it was quite so late. But yeah, we sort of settled down after dinner and watched a bit of improv comedy. We've been watching. What are their names again? You put your thing on top of my notes.
Middleditch and Sports, and you might be more familiar with them as actors. They've both appeared in various parts in sitcoms.
I don't recognise the one. The one I know from Parks and Rec.
So Ben Schwartz,
Schwartz, isn't it?
Schwartz is probably best known as John Ralphio in Parks and Recreations. At least best known by me. I don't know.
That's
maybe
the only thing I
recognise.
That's the only thing I recognise him from.
And Thomas Middleditch is also. He was the star of Silicon Valley.
I didn't watch that.
Sitcom, which I watched the first bit of, but I don't know where you can actually see that over here now. So, but check it out if you get the chance. But
Middleditch and Schwartz is on. Is it Netflix or Prime?
Netflix.
Netflix, lovely.
And
I would highly recommend it actually. And I was a bit dubious because I sometimes find improv. Well, it's a bit hit and miss by its very nature. But actually, their chemistry together is very watchable. And they're not taking themselves ridiculously seriously. It's quite silly. It's good fun. We've only watched the one episode, but there are several.
There's three, which is interesting. Because often when you have a comedy special and you watch, that guy was brilliant. But you can't, there's nothing else for you to kind of watch. They've put out that hour and that's it for the next year or so.
Well, I guess it helps that it's improv for that because you can then record a couple of different shows because they're not having to write a whole new show. Well, they are, but just as they performing
live.
It.
It's very quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
It makes those obviously write things really.
Should get into improv.
Shame, doesn't it? Yeah. So it's good. We've got another 2 of those to watch. We'd recommend that.
Yeah, definitely.
It kind of made me want to check out some more long-form improv, although I might regret saying that because I don't know.
Well, it's the kind of thing like we thankfully actually this year, because every year Chris goes to the Edinburgh Festival, and before all this kicked off with COVID, we'd actually had a chat and decided you were going to have a year off this year. Turns out, if Chris doesn't go to the Edinburgh Festival doesn't happen.
Sorry, guys.
You cancelled it. But at least we hadn't sort of put down deposits on any flats or anything. So that was handy. But yeah, I think I would have probably sort of thought, we'll catch some improv comedy at the Edinburgh Festival because there's a few different bits there. But I think when it's done well, it's brilliant, but it can be quite poor. I think as long as you know that the people doing it are solid performers, which I think it's safe to say Middleditch and Schwartz were both they're very comfortable with each other, and just very funny to watch. I enjoyed their onstage chemistry.
Both of them I've also heard previously on the Comedy Bang Bang podcast, which if you're not familiar with is a podcast they generally interview a celebrity guest in the first hour, and then the second hour descends into like characters and improv and people playing different roles. It's a lot of fun. So
was the Adult Swim Comedy Bang Bang thing related to the Comedy Bang Bang podcast? Do you remember when we tried it with little sort of short skits?
I don't think that was called Comedy Bang Bang.
It was called something Bang Bang.
Okay, but that's not.
It's not related
because they did have a TV show version of Comedy Bang Bang, and that wasn't whatever it was you're referring to. But I would have to. I'm not sure what it is.
I'll do some thinking off camera because that's not very exciting to watch. Just watch me think for a bit.
But, speaking of comedy specials, I've written a new list at the What Culture website, so check that out. There are links to it on my Facebook page.
I will put them in the blurb on YouTube.
So on the What Culture website, and it's just a list of 10,
12.
Well, remembered, I worked harder on it than I thought I had. 12 comedy specials that you can watch in lockdown. So if you're at a loose end, and they're all free to watch on YouTube, and we're not talking about, you can go on YouTube, it's fair to say, and type in the name of a famous comedian, and someone's probably done a DVD rip of one of their DVDs. We don't do that. Don't buy the DVD, support the person. But
these have been put on YouTube
by the performer for everyone to enjoy for free. Some of them do have other stuff that you can watch on streaming sites or buy from their website or wherever it might be. And I've tried to kind of
give links to those bits.
Recommend those as well and tell you where you can find more of these guys if you like them. But yeah, their stuff is very funny and it's very free on YouTube. So
it's very free.
And a lot of us have got a lot of time on our hands right now.
Yeah, no, actually the review that I hadn't heard of, but from reading your article I was like, oh, I'm gonna give that a watch. I'll give that a go. So yeah, if you're missing your stand-up fix, then that might be a good one for you to do, and it's all not sort of been put together now and somebody's streaming live. It was shows that have already been made and are all polished and honed. So yeah, I'm going to give a few of them a go, I think, for sure. So what else have we been up to?
Well, this is something we've been up to, but a while ago you had we were running low in the house, not so much of booze. We had some booze left. But
right.
We were very low on mixers.
Yes, I ended up drinking Jack Daniels and apple juice out of necessity.
Yeah.
Actually, remarkably quite nice.
Given that you don't
like I don't like Jack Daniels, but yeah, it works quite well with apple juice. But yeah, that you can sort of tell. I think we were quite low on booze as well because I was drinking Jack Daniels.
Yes.
And I don't like Jack Daniels.
But I could see it happening where people go to the shop and they go, right, well, I'm doing my essential shop. This is my only trip to the supermarket for the week, or at least these few days, and you get your booze in because you make sure you want to have your booze, and then you get home and you go, I haven't got enough. It's also mixers.
We're not driving, so weight is an issue if you're going to buy drinks. Because obviously mixers are quite heavy.
Hefty, and also mixers. The danger with mixers is you just drink them as something to drink when you're sober, and then when you want to get drunk, you've used all your mixers just drinking stuff.
Just drinking them
like an idiot.
Drinking without boozing him. What a waste.
A friend of mine on Twitter said that they had been drinking spirits as a mixer. They'd been using the juice that they had drained from a tin of pears.
I can go with that. That doesn't seem too mental to me. I think like a syrupy pear.
Yeah. So well, some of them come in syrup, some of them come in juice, don't they? So if they come in syrup, that'd be a very sweet cocktail you're making. But
well, I didn't think it would be wholly, but like maybe just added a dash of flavour to make a cocktail. That could be quite nice. It probably won't work with aquafaba.
No. Oh no, not. We're not talking
like
chickpeas.
Juice.
No.
You look offended. But yeah, with like tinned fruits, so pineapple juice or something like that would be quite nice. Yeah, that's a good idea. Which friend of yours was that?
They have a very Welsh name.
Okay, and you don't know how to pronounce it.
I'm not 100%. I'm going to get it right on camera.
Okay, all right. Well,
But yeah, there you go.
A friend, a secret friend with a Welsh name.
Top tips.
I quite like that. Yeah, I could give that a go.
It's tricky going to the shop at the moment and getting all the things that you need, like.
Yeah, well, there's something that every single time you've wanted to get self-raising flour, and they just haven't had any.
And it's normally, in the normal run of things, you can go and get self-raising flour. Not that I normally buy a lot of it, but it's available, it's there, and suddenly there's this real shortage of flour because
I think a lot of people are baking and making their own bread and all sorts.
And every time,
which is good, but it's a bit of a pain if we actually want some self-raising flour. We've got loads of plain flour. I had loads of plain flour anyway.
But yeah, because every time I go to I get like, what? Who are all these people? Why are they suddenly buying self-raising flour? It's ridiculous. But
bakers.
I also
want to buy... bunch of bakers.
Yeah, I know. But I also want to buy self-raising. So I'm just as bad. It's just I don't mind it when it's me that's doing it.
It's like the people who go out and complain about how many people are out. You're like, you were out though.
I do feel like at Tesco's they should be reporting back to head office going, guys, we're running out of
flour. I did actually read a thing about
I would like self-raising for dumplings and bread and other purposes, but it's other flour as well, just plain flour. They also...
Sorry, a little furry man came in. Last time that happened, it was the other one. It was Arthur with a rat. So that happened. I'm glad that didn't happen on camera, but it happened about 45 minutes, an hour ago. But Ford does not have a rat because he's a nicer boy.
Well,
he's a gooder boy. But yeah, so I read a thing about flour. There isn't an actual shortage of flour because everybody's been panic buying various things, but things like pasta, rice, flour, toilet roll. I don't know. But the supply chain, the problem they're having getting enough flour out is having it in small packages. So there's plenty of flour, but like flour that's being made usually for bigger scale food production. So doing it in big sort of sacks. But they're not used to people buying small packets as often as they are at the moment, so they don't have enough in. So you're just looking at the cats being cute.
The cat is being adorable. The cat is rubbing his head against the dog.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't be transfixed
that
by that?
Is adorable.
Just
Just gave Lucy's ear a lick. Oh, Ford is trying his hardest to make friends with Lucy, and Lucy's still not quite sure because I think Lucy associates Ford and Arthur as basically the same beast. And Arthur's a lot meaner to Lucy than Ford is, and Ford's trying his best. That was cute, but you'll just have to take our word for it. But yes, so the problem with flour is a packaging problem, not an actual supply of flour problem, because people are buying it more than they normally do. So they can't package enough of it up in smaller amounts.
They can't package it quick enough.
So you could probably order online a massive sack of flour, but then you'll have to do a lot of baking.
We just have to make all our own bread for the foreseeable future.
And we could live off pancakes and crumpets and things as well. That involves flour. Pancakes.
More dumplings.
I actually really liked your dumplings, even with the plain flour. You weren't happy, but to be fair, I didn't have any frame of reference because I've not had any other dumplings.
Eaten anything pleasant before, apparently. Had no frame of reference.
I've not had dumplings
so these
before.
Disappointing dumplings were fine.
I liked the texture. You said they were stodgy, but I thought they were hearty and comforting.
Oh, it's like putting some Play-Doh in your stew.
I think you're being unkind to your dumplings there, but
well.
Maybe make another one, and when we do find self-raising flour, and I'll be able to compare.
Okay.
So to talk a little, just before I go into a little bit of real world stuff, I just wanted to sort of check in on how we're feeling at the moment. And today I've been struggling a little bit. You might have been able to tell from last night's vlog, I had a few glasses of wine and I had a few more after we filmed. So it could just be that kind of like the anxiety and fear that you get with a bit of a hangover.
Just that slight sense of ill.
Yeah, something's not right. So today I have been feeling a little bit stir crazy and a little bit like I want to do something, but I don't know what it is, kind of feeling. So I've been a bit on edge today, but that could just be that I'm a bit hungover, or it could just be that I'm sort of feeling a bit like lockdown. Like, it's been going on a long time. I haven't actually left the house for ages.
It's true, the
last time I left the house was to go to the vet, I think. That was Tuesday.
Do you not walk the dog since then one day?
Can't remember. Maybe the day after.
You walked the dog. Was that the day?
Maybe I walked the dog on Wednesday, but it's been a while anyway because it's Sunday today. And so maybe I should. Well, even if it's just sitting in the garden, I think I need to get out. I'm starting to feel a bit. So just how are you feeling mood wise?
Oh right. Well, it's up and down. I kind of mostly feel fine, but then sometimes I feel like I should be doing more with the time. Sometimes that's like going, there must be some way I can generate money or do something more productive. You've been quite prolific with
writing your articles. You've written a few articles. That's made some money.
But then I think maybe I should do something more correct. Other times it's just things like, I should have read things that aren't necessarily productive, but like, I should have read more books. I should be reading some comic books because this time will pass. Yeah. And I will look back at this time.
Like, why didn't I do that when I had the time?
Done that, and I'll be back in the cycle of working and getting things done.
I think I had, when this all sort of started and it was on the horizon that we might have to go into lockdown, but before we actually had, I had some very lofty ideas of things I was going to do to fill my time, and I thought, well, that's going to be very valuable and useful. so it's going to be just things like get back on Duolingo, brush up on my French, get back on say something in Welsh and get a bit more Welsh speaking done, pick up the ukulele again. There are lots of things that sort of like, oh well, if I've got the time to do it, brilliant, because normally I can't justify spending too much time doing things like that. What I have actually found is my productivity and my inclination to be productive is non-existent, and I am just trying to make my peace with that, because I think a lot of people are struggling at the moment and there is pressure to be productive, but this isn't normal. This isn't like, oh, I've got a couple of weeks off from work, because everybody's in this kind of strange situation. And I think at the moment, just do what you've got to get yourself through the day. I think don't put too much pressure on yourself to be productive, because then you're just giving yourself something to feel guilty about, on top of probably not great mental health anyway, because times are really weird and scary and uncertain. So yeah, if you can be productive, and actually if that helps you to like achieve some stuff and that gives you a sense of control and things, then great, do it. But if you're feeling like you can't really muster up the sort of energy to do anything like that, then I think just go easy on yourself. This is not normal situation to be going through, and there isn't a right or wrong way to handle it. So as long as you're looking after yourself and you're getting through the day and you're not doing anything that's doing you any active harm, I think let it go. If you're not being productive, it doesn't matter. Nobody's marking you. This is not going to sort of
is it not coming up on the midterms?
No.
Well.
So I think, yeah, just get through. Just do what you gotta, I think. And so surprisingly, that's one thing I'm not getting angsty about.
That's good.
I think when maybe in the first week I was sort of feeling a bit like, oh, I need to do things, and I just realised it was making me stressed thinking about things I hadn't done. Then when the Poppet stuff happened anyway, it was kind of like, well, that puts all those plans out of the window anyway. And now that we've got a little bit more freedom back, I'm still like, it's fine. We can just relax. So I today started playing the game that you mentioned yesterday, the Lost Phone story. So the first one, so a normal lost phone it was, not an ordinary lost phone. Oh, I also should mention something, just that I remember, if you were watching yesterday, I was talking about the ant thing, which is still a thing. But I started that story by saying when I joined the colony, it had about 400,000 followers. What I forgot to do is go back and explain it's now got like 1.2 million people in that group. It's gone insane. So that was my proof that it's just exploded during lockdown. And I think so. That wouldn't happen under normal times, would it? 1.2 million people all pretending to be ants together. But it's strangely wholesome, and we all just kind of just ant together, and it's good fun. So I would highly recommend. I also misquoted the name of the group. It's actually called A Group Where We Pretend We're All Ants in an Ant Colony. So yeah, do check that out. I highly recommend it. It's insane.
Well, how are you getting on with the a normal lost phone? Yeah,
it's good. It's not quite what I pictured. I imagined it being a little bit more puzzly. But it's a very well designed and well constructed story, but you just can read bits of it in different orders and put things together. But there's a lot more story to it than I was anticipating. So you can just there are big sort of chunks of stuff to read. And you sort of gradually, by unlocking different apps and getting different passwords and stuff, gradually get a bit more of an insight into what's going on in this person's life. Now, I don't want to actually say what the story's about, but it was a surprising sort of slant and very interesting and informative, and I thought very thoughtfully written and quite interesting. So I would highly recommend that. I don't know what the second one's about because I haven't finished this one yet. I've got to a bit of a... At the moment, I'm at a bit of a dead end. I need to work out a password to something, and I haven't found the thing that it is yet. But I'm enjoying. I am really enjoying it. Actually, it's very immersive, and very. So I highly recommend that. And you said both of them were only a few quid, didn't you? So
that's right.
Yeah, would highly recommend.
I've started on a game called Golf Story.
Yep, that looks quite cute. I was quite derisive of it yesterday, but I sort of thought golf role play didn't really tickle my pickle, but it does look quite cute.
It's a sort of story. You play a kid who like plays golf with his dad, and then he's 20 years later. He's got his dad's clubs, and he decides wants to make it on the pro tour, but he's got to go to the local rundown golf club and deal with the dodgy owners and stuff.
Right.
So there's a whole kind of story to it.
Yeah, the story still doesn't sound very gripping.
No, but it's very charmingly told, and you play golf within it. It's a very simple golf mechanic. Like if you're really into golf or golf games for kind of the games consoles and things, and you've played sort of whatever the.
Are there big golf games?
Well, there have been, but and there's lots of technical stuff with swing and wind resistance and all that kind of thing.
Oh, I've played Wii golf actually. That's quite fun.
But again, that's quite simplistic. Yeah. But if you're looking for something more technical, this isn't it. If, however, you're like the rest of us and couldn't give a shit about golf, this is actually quite a simple, just fun dynamic, and the graphics, that kind of old school JRPG style. If you don't know what I mean, probably early Pokemon games is a kind of reference point that a lot of people can get, like that kind of 2D walking around the towns.
A bit Zelda-y to me, like the really early Zelda
games. Early
games.
Zelda, yeah.
That's what I thought of.
That kind of sort of 8-bit kind of thing.
It is cute. Well, we've actually again come to this because I didn't get around to talking about some real world stuff. So tomorrow we will go. Maybe we'll know more stuff that's happening in the real world. But we should probably just about call that a day there. That was us.
That was us.
That was us. Bye.
Bye.